Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the massive Jurassic World Legacy Collection Diplodocus. So this was another item I got for Christmas, and it's another giant sauropod, much like the last previous ones we've gotten from Mattel. So we got ourselves another species to introduce to our collections, and yeah, I'm super happy to finally have Diplodocus in the Jurassic line. Also, just having another giant sauropod to add to my collection of my other giant sauropods is pretty cool. Our whole lineup of just giant sauropods are just growing. So yeah, taking a look at the box here for the Diplodocus, it looks really nice. I know Diplodocus, first of all, it's weird that how it's in the Legacy collection because this dinosaur never actually fully physically appeared in the franchise. It did show up as a toy in Alan Grant's and Ellie Sattler's, what do you call it, camper, I think, for lack of a better term, in the first movie. And then also we saw little juvenile statues of Diplodocus in the Lockwood estate. So I guess maybe, I don't know if that counts as being a legacy creature, but this animal did not really physically appear, and yet here we have a toy of it in the Legacy collection. Really cool though. This doesn't really mean this is an official design for it too. This isn't a design that Mattel came up with, but it looks really good though. A really great design. I can't wait to get a closer look at it. The art here on the box looks awesome. You got three Diplodocus here wandering around some grassland. You got a nice large stream in the middle, some beautiful mountains in the background, some forest trees, some clouds. Just really nice stuff. It kind of reminds me of just a classic prehistoric landscape, such as during the Jurassic period and like the Morrison Formation, I guess you could say. So it looks really cool. I really do like it a lot. And you got the Legacy Collection logo, Diplodocus. Apparently it's a super large figure, a super long figure. So I'm really looking forward to that. Up here we just got the Legacy Collection, Diplodocus, some more size stuff. The art of the dinosaur looks really nice as well. Looks just like the toy. So yeah, it looks really great there. On the side, nothing much, just more of the exact same thing. Same with the other side. And then over here on the other side, it's pretty much the same thing, except this one's more vertical. If you stand it up, shows just a more vertical view of the image, just with one Diplodocus, and obviously the beautiful scenery in the background, the names and all the other information, the facts up stuff. So pretty nice stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to get a closer look at this thing. So let's go ahead and crack this giant behemoth out of the box. One more quick thing before we get this thing open. Apparently this thing has a lot of assembly to do. As we can see here based on this picture, we got like 2 pieces for the neck and 3 pieces for the tail. This tail must be extremely long. I mean, it makes sense for a Diplodocus. So obviously we got a lot of assembly to do. So yeah, let's go ahead and put this thing together and take a closer look at it. Alrighty, so here, everyone, here we have the Diplodocus out of the box and put together, and this thing is just incredible. Just the overall size of this sauropod figure is just crazy. This is by far, I think, the longest sauropod that Mattel has made. Because, while it's Diplodocus, I think it is one of the longest dinosaurs, and plus Mattel gave it an extra long whip-like tail, so it literally adds to the length and the overall size of this massive figure. And this sauropod is just great. I'm glad to have this one in my collection. So yeah, this one is right at home with all the other sauropods in my collection. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the closer details we have here. We can just pull it forward here. This thing is like super long. I can't even fit it on my whole little table out here. This is absolutely insane. But taking a look at the head, you can see here, and the head actually looks pretty good. It looks just like the Diplodocus in real life, I would say. The sculpt is very nicely done on it. Nice amount of sculpt and skin wrinkles and texture, all that. So it actually looks just like an actual Diplodocus, a skull, just the way the shape looks. I mean, the mouth is a little bit different, but overall they got the main shape down. You can see the little nostrils right there. You can see some more right there. Just some nice little detail, overall detail. There as well. It's kind of hard to focus here inside the mouth, which it is articulated, but you can see the inside of the mouth. See the little teeth and the tongue and the little gum flap, so it's actually really nice. The teeth probably could have been longer because Diplodocus is famous to having like those really like almost like needle-like teeth. That's actually more present in the front of the mouth, not the entire mouth as a whole, because those teeth were just used just to strip plants or leaves off of trees while it just swallows it whole. But I mean, it's an interesting touch. This is a Jurassic World figure, so it's not entirely 100% accurate, but it looks pretty nice though. Teeth look nicely sculpted and painted. And then moving on to the neck, you can see just the normal amounts of like texture in the skin, you know, the wrinkles, the way like the lines are. You can see some of the muscles poking through the sculpt here along the neck, kind of give it like a muscular look. Even here at the bottom, just some more of this lined vein texture, which is pretty typical in sauropods like these. Even you can turn it here, you can just see a good amount of the texture that is sculpted into this figure, which looks really nice. You got some little osteoderms, little bumps here at the back of the neck right here, which is only right here, so that's pretty interesting. Nice little bit of detail there. You can see a little ear hole right there, some more line texture. And then on the back, the entire back is just covered in the signature Diplodocus spines, which we don't even know if are actually present in the actual animal in real life. This is just like a famous characteristic of Diplodocus as a whole. Like literally every single interpretation of this animal in paleo media or whatever has it portrayed with spikes like these on its neck. So I mean, that's the way I was always introduced to Diplodocus. Thanks to Walking with Dinosaurs, the Diplodocus always had these spines running down its entire length of its body. So that's really cool. It does make it stand out with the other sauropods that we have currently, with the spikes and the super length of this animal. So it's kind of cool. You're kind of teaching kids or even adult collectors alike just kind of, you know, the difference between different sauropods and how they look and all that. Even though they might not be 100% accurate, it's kind of cool just to get a rundown of all these different sauropods and how they're like. And what's really cool is that all these spines, or at least some of them are actually really hard plastic like this one and some other ones, but majority of these are just made of a softer rubber insert inside the plastic as a separate piece. So they're all very nicely, you know, nice and soft and not sharp. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, the entire portion of these are just pretty soft, so that's really cool. Mattel's been adding a lot of this soft plastic to their figures. Here to the body, you can see in the front limb here, the one thing I like about these limbs is that they're actually a lot more thinner and smaller, which kind of gives it a bit more of a, I guess, a better accurate look. I mean, I like the limbs of some, like other sauropods have like thicker limbs, which makes sense, but on like limbs like the Mamenchisaurus, were definitely a little too thick in my opinion, especially the hind legs. Like if you look at the one in the movie, they had really thin looking limbs, much like how the Diplodocus has right here. So I really like the more thinner limbs on this figure. I think it just makes it look a bit better in my opinion. But detail wise, you got some more of these little bumps or osteoderms here around the shoulder area, and some more here poking out of the skin right here. As you can see, some more just around the body. Also kind of reminded me of the Walking with Dinosaurs Diplodocus. It had like these little osteoderms poking throughout the body. So that's a nice little attention to detail. And the overall sculpt on the body is just super great. You can definitely see the amount of detail in each scale or piece of skin that Mattel put into this figure. And some more of like the muscle definition, you know, based on the shadows and all that. You can kind of just see how it's kind of just flexing through the skin, which is really cool. And some more line texture and all that. The arms are really nice with a lot of this lined texture, which is pretty typical in dinosaurs, at least a lot of dinosaur figures anyway. And the arms, or the hands, or the whatever you want to call them, they look pretty nice. Not entirely accurate to the real animal, but they're very typical for a Jurassic Park sauropod. They do look really nice though in terms of detail. Yes, the nails aren't painted, but that's to be expected, especially with all these larger ones. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And then looking back now here, if I can just move it a bit forward, just some more nice amount of detail, just kind of giving you a rundown of everything. Here on the hind legs, nice amount of muscle definition, some more great detail in the sculpt, kind of brings out just the life of this animal. Here are the feet, again, not entirely accurate to a real life Diplodocus or even like sauropod feet in general, but they're good for what they are, for being a Jurassic Park interpretation of these sauropods. Some more spikes or bumps right there. Then moving on to the tail, if I can move this guy forward, it's pretty typical. Much like the neck a little bit, got a lot of nice amount of scales that are sculpted into the skin, like these square looking scales, which I like those a lot. Very nicely done. Some of these little wrinkles in the skin right here, which look really nice. And it basically just continues all the way down to the tip of the tail, which itself looks really good. So yeah, look at that. Nice amount of detail on the sauropod. So I probably could have filmed this a bit better, but I'm doing this to the best of my ability. You know, it's the warmest day this week, which is why I'm filming it outside, so I'm taking advantage of it. You see some more of these softer spines up here, and surprisingly, the spines don't continue down all the way to the tip of the tail. I think that would actually add to the damage a whip-like tail would do, even though there's a lot of more evidence now, I believe, suggesting that these whip-like tails weren't even used for defense, but possibly for, you know, display, you know, or to feel other members of its own species, something like that. But it's cool, you know. My younger self would have definitely used this to swing against predatory dinosaurs like Allosaurus, just to kind of recreate some of those, you know, famous prehistoric scenes that happened in the Jurassic period. If we move the tail like this, we can kind of take a look at some of the detail on the underside. So just some more nice lined texture for the underside of the sauropod, which looks really good and pretty much continues all the way down to the tip of the tail. So really nice there. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the underside of it, because you can't really do that with the camera angle that I have now. You can see here just a lot of this nice lined texture, pretty typical for an underside sculpt, I guess I would say, in terms of dinosaur figures. So, you know, pretty nicely done. Even some more detail on the opposite sides of each of the limbs, which are really nice, very elephant-like, I would say, especially in a lot of these areas of these giant sauropods. Color-wise, the colors are really good on this one, I would say. I really like, I mean, they stand out. They're a lot like different when compared to other sauropods that we've gotten from Mattel. I really like this, kind of like this light tan color, and I really love like the dark brownish black color that highlights the head and goes down the neck. It kind of makes the head pop out a little bit, and even that same dark color is featured on the tip of the tail, so that kind of makes the tail stand out too. And that's all that really is of that dark color. And you got this really nice light cream color stripes that go to halfway down the neck part right here, and it kind of continues down on a little bit on the body and then a little bit on the tail. So at least it does feel very complete with that. So I like that a lot. I like the stripes on it. Stripes on dinosaurs are just really cool in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, that looks really good. And you also got a lot of this dark brown speckling on the plastic, which actually looks really good. And it kind of adds the detail, kind of gives it like this dirt effect on it, but it also kind of adds just to the overall, just, I don't know how to really explain it, but just kind of adds to the quality of this dinosaur. So I like that a lot. And then you also got a cream color underside, which I think is the same color as the stripes that go to the underside of the neck. So that looks really nice all together, and continues all the way down, I believe, yeah, only to the, roughly to the chest area. And then it's pretty blank on the other side, but that's to be expected. Mattel's been doing that with their sauropods for a long time, and it looks really good, I would say. So yeah, and here on the head, I like the yellow eye. It pops against this dark color And I love the stripes on this face. It looks really good. And again, it pops. So I love that effect on dinosaurs when they have stripes on their faces. And then obviously the inside of the mouth is pretty good with the yellowish teeth and the fleshy color on the inside, which all of the inside is painted like that. So this whole dinosaur figure just feels complete, and I really like it a lot. And also here is the scan code up here. So yep, there's that if you need it. And yeah, this figure is just super impressive, and everything, paint, detail, sculpt, colors, and everything. So yeah, let's move on to articulation. All right, so I'm gonna try my best to show all of the articulation on this giant figure. Before I do this, I did take off the tip of the tail, which this is actually easily, you know, can easily be attached and reattached. It's nothing that actually sticks into the tail that I noticed. The tail bends in such a way where it feels back heavy, so the tail kind of just like flops down a little bit, so it is easy to knock off. It doesn't break, but it doesn't stay on just because of the way the tail is sculpted. But I'm gonna take it off just in case if I bump into anything, I don't want to lose this. But yeah, let's go ahead and try to attempt to show off all of these articulation points, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But starting off with the head over here, if I can get this. Oh my goodness, this thing is big. Hopefully it focuses. There we go. So the head here can move up and down. It's kind of like on a ball joint. Moves up and down. It can move left and right. Let's see if there's a better way to show this. Yeah, so it can move left and right and up and down. It can also swivel 360, so it is on a ball joint, which is pretty cool. Adds to a little bit more posability. And then, like we saw before, the jaw can open and close. Pretty typical. And then this part of the neck can swivel. But obviously I don't really do that because it kind of breaks up the sculpt, especially in these little spikes. And then this part of the neck that attaches to the body, like we saw before, swivels 360. And it can also move up and down. As you can see, a little joint right here. It can, you know, move up and down. It is a bit stiff, so just do be careful. I don't want to have to force mine. It does work if I have the right grip on it, but yes, for any of you who are asking, it does move up and down. And yeah, for the arms right here, the arms can move forward and backwards, just depending on where the sculpt of the body is located. Same with the hind legs, forward and backwards. And that's pretty much it. And then for the tail here, this part of the tail, it can move, I mean, it's very tight, but it can move left and right, and I think also up and down. Huh, actually, I don't, you know, I just didn't, I didn't realize the tail can actually move up and down, honestly. That's actually a little embarrassing. I didn't notice that at all, and I've had this opened for a long time. I knew it's swung left and right, and I knew it twisted, as you can see here, so it can twist all the way around, but I did not realize it can go up and down. So that might actually fix my tail problem, actually. So there you go, that's interesting. So yeah, that can move, and the only other part that can actually move is the tip of the tail, which can actually rotate across the actual part that it's attached to, as you can see here. We'll just go ahead and attach this. So as you can see, it does rotate. So that's basically all of the, whew, that was actually kind of difficult to show. Those are all of the articulated joints for this Diplodocus. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great posability you can do. I can't wait to actually start doing pictures with this sauropod. I'll probably end up waiting until warmer weather and summer weather so I can get some really good, you know, prehistoric like pictures with this Diplodocus. So, but yeah, it's actually a really great figure. So let's go quickly to some brief comparisons so we can close off this video. All right, so finally here we have some comparisons. I am not going to compare the Diplodocus with every single sauropod I have. I might actually wait to do that for the new Titanosaurus from Rebirth, which we'll probably get later this year. I'm really looking forward to that one. But yeah, we're gonna wait to do a full comparison once we get that sauropod. But for right now, I'm just gonna compare the Diplodocus not only with the human figure, but I figured I'll do the Mamentosaurus since they're kind of similar in terms of being a long dinosaur. So in terms of a human figure, it is huge. Obviously, I think actually a little too big. Some of Mattel's sauropods are a bit oversized, in my opinion, so they're not very accurate to the actual animals in the fossil record. Like, I think maybe even the Momentosaurus could have been maybe a bit smaller. The Diplodocus for sure could have been a bit smaller. I mean, it was a big and long dinosaur, but it wasn't like huge like a Dreadnoughtus or any other Titanosaur. So, I mean, a human probably would have been closer to like maybe this, probably. But that's just, what I've seen based on actual skeletons of Diplodocus and how I've seen it in like other media and whatever. But I know for sure this Diplodocus is definitely a bit oversized. It could have been definitely much smaller. Even the Apatosaurus was definitely way oversized. It needed to be smaller, which I will say if we ever get another Hammond Collection sauropod, I'd rather it be an Apatosaurus than anything else, just because everything else is kind of already perfect. But an Apatosaurus, we could get one because that one definitely needs a big update because it's probably my least favorite of the sauropods that Mattel has released, only because it's definitely way oversized than how it was in the film, and then obviously the tail needs to be much longer, not the puny little tail that Mattel gave it. But yeah, so human scale wise, it's not the best, but it works for just a giant sauropod, so it looks cool regardless. But comparing it to another sauropod, they look really great together. Both long-necked dinosaurs, two different family groups though, but really cool though. They're actually very similar in terms of the articulation in the head and having just a long neck and a long tail. And yeah, I actually think the Diplodocus is in fact the longest sauropod from Mattel, because the tail even surpasses the Momentosaurus' tail, and I thought that one was super long. But that's really cool. So I really like comparing these a lot, and yeah, I would say these look really great together. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This one was, I mean, it's not difficult, but it was definitely a challenge trying to film such a large figure like this. I mean, these figures, they're huge and they take up a lot of space, but I love getting these because not only they're sauropods, which are super cool groups of animals, but like they're accurate to scale for the most part compared to humans or these little human figures. So I like that a lot. I love having accurate to scale figures. I just think that's just really cool. So yeah, this Diplodocus is such a great figure, a great addition to the collection. Makes right at home with all my other sauropods. The amount of detail, the color job, everything on it is just amazing on this figure. And the length is just crazy. It basically matches an actual Diplodocus very nicely, I would say. And yeah, I highly recommend this one. So this one should still be out in Target. So yeah, any of you who are still looking for another sauropod, I do recommend getting this Diplodocus. It is such a great one. With the typical amount of articulation and all that, which actually makes for some good posing. So I like it a lot, and I cannot wait for the rebirth Titanosaurus later this year. I have a feeling that one's going to be pretty big. I should have room in my room anyway for at least one more sauropod. So, but I enjoy collecting these ones. These ones are awesome. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.